Hey, welcome, thanks for stopping by. It's time to learn with our friend Clive. So grab your brush, have a great time. And don't forget to click subscribe. Visit clive5art.co.uk.
Hello and welcome, and thank you very much for taking up my invitation to join me in the studio. Today is another collaboration between Brandon and Schaefer. This is his challenge to me. Yes, his challenge to me, Jason and Larry. Yes, so I deliberated over this for quite a while, and as you can see, I hope you can see the image there. Can you see it, that one? Yes, I'll zoom in on that a little bit closer later on. And thank you, Brandon. It's giving me a headache. I've been deliberating with this now for a good few days, and I decided that I'm going to try an approach that I haven't done for quite a while. And this is why I like challenges, is because it takes you out of your comfort zone. And greens is, I'm certainly learning to use greens, thanks to Jason and Brandon. And I haven't seen Larry's yet, so just my luck, it'll be green water as well, Larry. So I urge you to go and check their channels out if you haven't already done so, and in the iCard there is going to be links to the previous challenge as well. Okay, so what have I decided to do today? Quite simply, I couldn't decide what brush to use, so I've decided to use a palette knife. I've got cadmium red, I got an ultramarine blue, a phthalo blue, I got some cadmium yellow, I got some burnt umber, some Mars black, some white. I've taken the liberty of pre-mixing a couple of colours there by mixing basically a yellow and a black, and I've used a little bit of my thickening agent, and that will thicken your paint up, make it heavy body or even impassoed paint. It works with all acrylic paints, not oils, just acrylics. Please go along to my website to check that out, and if you want to order some, please do that. But you can see how thick I can get this. I'll show you how to mix it in a minute. I've got a selection of palette knives there. I might get a smaller palette knife yet. I've got a little bit of liquid clear. That is my additive for my wet and wet techniques. I've also got a little bit of my medium mix improver there in case I need to go in with some brushwork. I'm quite decided how this is going to go, and I'm not going to say no more. I'm just going to dive in. Let's hope it works. So I've got a board set up, as you can see there. I've screwed that to my easel. I'm going to be mixing my paints on that and applying them. It took me a while to work this out, but it's just a couple of bulldog clips and some screws basically. Okay, so I'm going to get my palette knife selection. I'm just going to put them there. I think I'm going to use this one. This is a number 3. I'll put links to these on the descriptions if you want to pop along and pick up a couple of them if you haven't already done so. This tree, I'm looking at this tree, and on my reference photograph there, you can see that I've scaled the tree out, so I got the trunk coming in roughly there. That's going to come in there, and there's a trunk going that way. I'm not going to worry too much about the accuracy of this particular painting. I've taken the liberty of sketching out the house as close as I can. I want to make it look different. I've also taken the liberty of just putting a few shapes there, like as if there's a couple talking, just to add a little bit of character to this painting. Right, so I'm looking at the sky on my picture, and I'll put the picture there. This is zoomed in a bit, but the actual colour of the sky is quite ultramarine. So if I add a little bit of white to that ultramarine blue, you'll see that it's not far off the same colour. There you go. So there's a bit of a warm red cast to that sky. You know, that's not far off the same. It's not far off the same colour. Look. So that's easy, isn't it? So let's get a little bit of ultramarine blue just there, and I'm going to bring some white over off my palette. And when mixing with a palette knife, always don't do this, because if you do that, it won't mix properly. And I'm going to need my little mister bottle. Where's my mister bottle? Just to stop it from drying on me. Adding a bit more white. Don't want much of this, there's not much there. Sky there, so let's look. Yeah, that's pretty good, that's pretty close. A bit more white maybe. There you go. Now I can put this straight on as is, because it's not thin in any way. So I'm just getting a little roll of paint like that onto my palette knife, and I'm just gonna just put that in. Sky like that. Bring a little bit of white to that one side. This is going to dry darker, so I need to take that down another touch. And just add that in. Don't worry too much about it. Don't worry about marks and things. Don't worry about if it's accurately mixed. You want these nice imperfections with this type of painting. Just adding a bit more white. I'm going to put a bit of moisture onto my paint, because unlike oils, this does dry and get tacky. What a lovely colour. As I said, don't worry if it's not accurate, because this is what this is all about, is developing a nice painting. So I'm going to scrape that off my palette. I'm getting some kitchen roll. Cleaning my palette knife. Just wiping that down like that. Okay, so I'm looking at the greens now, and I've already pre-mixed a green. There you go. I've already pre-mixed this green, and I put a little bit of my thickening agent with it. I'll show you how that works in just 1 second. Again, I'm going to take that down with a bit of white, so I'm adding a bit of white to that. As the background trees are a little bit, and add a touch of red just to dechromatize that. Bring a bit of blue to it. Put a bit too much red in there, so a bit of yellow. Put a bit more yellow to it. Just play with these colours. Bring a bit of Prussian blue. Just to blue it up. So we've got a bit of an olivey type of green there now. I'm going to bring a bit of white to that just to brighten it. Let's see what that looks like. Okay. Drag in. It's on the very tip of the brush. Let's drag in some shapes in. Still using the same palette knife. We got another bit of a shape coming up. There, like that. I want to bring a bit more of that. Where's my bin? There it is. A bit of this green now to the side. Mixing a bit of that green in with that, just to change that flavour up a touch. Just to give it a bit more of a bring it forward a touch, so you know, just a little bit there, just enough of a difference just to bring that. Let's increase that colour. I'm just taking the paint out of my pot. Oops, I'm just taking the paint out of my pot I mixed. It was just a lot easier to pre-mix some paint. And all that was Mars Black and some Cadmium Yellow, medium. And just bring in a bit of colour difference there, like that. A bit of white to it again. Let's change in this up. This is not like painting with a knife, with a brush, so you can be a little bit more loose with it. Bring in a bit more of that paint in. Again, there. If I want to darken that, all I got to do is just get a small amount of black to it, and I can darken that green up. So I've got my base green, and I can get my values from that quite nicely. So because it's quite dark in there, like that, quite dark. Let's get a bit of wiping my brush. Let's get a bit more of this lighter green now. Just put a bit of green in. A little bit of that blue come through. That's good, always good. A little bit of dark here and there. Build this up as you go along. Just put a little bit of shadowing in, mixing it in. There you go, like that. Put a little bit of dark over there. This is going to dry in the same type of time scale as if you're doing it with a brush, so be mindful. There we are, we're looking, it's looking pretty good at the moment. I want to put this other tree in a minute, but it's quite dark here, so let's put a bit of this dark in. There, let's just get using the edge of this palette knife just to block in that area there. Now it's quite light. Let's put a bit of this lighter colour back in there. This is quite a nice way to paint. Let's put a little bit of dark in here and there, just to give it a bit of texture, and then we can put some on that as well. We certainly could. Okay, so I want to get some dark now. I've got a really dark green here that I've made. This is my darkest green, as you can see. Oops, that's nice and dark, and it's exactly the same green, it's just adding a lot more black to it. So what I'm going to do now is get a bit of this really dark green, and I just want to come in here like this. Bit of lighter green then, because all it is a massive trees there. How are we looking on camera? It's looking pretty good. I hope it is anyway. I hope it's looking pretty good. There we go. Okay, so continuing to build this tree shape up with this really dark green. And I'm putting it on quite thickly now, just to get the shape of this tree in place. And it's like building a tree up with a brush. Just all we're doing is using a palette knife instead. So this is just your block out. You can do mountains like this as well if you wanted to. With just a palette knife. It's a lot of fun actually. There's a bit of blue coming through there. And getting a bit more of my dark green mix. When we come to mix up the colours for the roof and that, I'll show you how this thickening agent works. So it'll work with any acrylic paint in actual fact. Not oils, it won't work with oils, it won't work with oil soluble, water soluble oils neither. So it's an important thing to think about. Okay, I'm going to come down so far. because this is acrylic, it'll take about, I don't know, 24 hours to really dry off, leaving a couple of little light spots coming in there like that. It takes about 2 weeks to cure. Yes, surprising. It is really surprising. Okay, I don't want to come down too far. I'm just going to carry on blocking this section out here. There you go. I want a little bit of texture of the canvas to show through. Now, get a bit of the lighter colour green. There's in the background there. I need to change that up a bit. I want to. I'm going to put a little bit of Prussian blue now to that green. I want a bluer green. Yeah. Okay. I need a bit of yellow. Oh, I'm looking at my clock because it's gone midnight. It really is. It's gone midnight. I want to see what that looks like. So I might have to stop filming shortly. My wife will be screaming at me. Needs to be a bit lighter than that, so let's bring a little bit of white to it. Enjoy the process of mixing paints. Enjoy that process. A bit of blue. I'm going to blow it up again. You can't go wrong really. If it starts going grey and muddy looking, then stop and start again. It's as simple as that. A couple of different colours. I don't want to go a bit on the yellow side now, so I'm adding a bit more yellow to it. Bring in a bit more yellow into the mix. And this is, as I said, this is something I haven't done. I've done a few palette knife paintings, but I don't actually think I've done a full palette knife painting. A bit yellow. I want a bit more yellow than that. Don't forget, acrylic paint dries darker. It dries about 2 shades, in fact. And it's something you need to bear in mind when you're painting. Yeah, you've got a few different values of colour there now. Put a few strokes that way. Put a few strokes that way. Mix a little bit of dark in with it if you wanted to, just to give it an illusion of some shadows going on there in the background. Okay, we need to get a bit of let's put a bit of yellow there. Should be enough on this palette to colour that yellow and just turn it slightly green. Make a definite line there now. Okay, so I'm going to get a bit more of that lighter colour, green, and I'm going to add a bit more yellow to that. It's quite light, that is, so maybe we can just use this for now. I just want to put a just like laying snow on a mountain. Certainly is. I hope, Jason, you'll be so proud of me, Jason. Wait till I start doing mountains. I've been practicing. Put a bit of dark just down there like that. Okay, so just wiping my brush. I'm going back into my dark green. I'm going to put a bit more of that on my palette. There you go. And I'm going to continue now again with this pattern like this. And what we could do, we get a bit of this green and we could get some burnt umber. Just mix some burnt umber into that green. Get a bit of that by there, get a bit of white to it. Just see what our undertone colour is. It's like a greeny, it's like a brown on the green side. How do I know that? Because I mix brown and green together. Okay. Should I continue with, no, I think I'll just wipe this brush a minute. I'm just going to put that in some water just to stop it from drying on me, get in some more kitchen roll. And I get this palette knife. This is a Bob Ross palette knife. Yes, Bob Ross palette knife. So I'm going to a little roll of paint. And it's just finding this tree shape like that. You can use that little edge there. There's a little edge there. It's a detailing edge, that is, and we can bring that out like that. This has got a bit of a twist on it, so that comes up there like that. That's what I like about palette knife work, is it leaves this lovely textured surface on the painting. I'll bring this one comes like that, somewhere up there. Put a bit of this green in. Build it up, build it up, build it up. We've got a branch come in there. I don't know whether our branch just has another tree there. Let's get a little bit of white into that now. And marble it. Don't want it. Oops. Cut off a little roll of paint. There we go. And let's just put a little bit of highlight on that tree. Like that. Just let the paint come off the palette knife. Just take your time. There's no rush to this. Absolutely no rush to this at all. You can't rush this type of job. All I gotta do is scrape that off now. Okay, I'm going to soak that one. I'm going to get this one back out the water, so that should be nice and clean now. And picking up some more dark out of my pot, and I'm just going to lay this on quite thickly now, like that. I want to get this. This is just my undertone colour, so right. And before we start building that up, we want to put this fence in. It's got a couple of rungs on it there like that. A representation, certainly is. We gotta. Let's get a little bit of. Let's get a bit of burnt umber. But there. Bit of black. It's thinner. Little roll of paint. small roll of paint now, just a little bit of shadow under that fence like that. Okay, how are we looking? It's looking good. Let's get this tree finished. Back into this palette knife. We're going into this lighter colour. Just mix this together. This is not finished yet, mind. Don't forget this. We've got to put a few more of these highlighting colours in. We just put in the first highlight on this tree. Mix some more of that up now. There we go. Let's get a bit more of that green. Bit more yellow. Mixing that well. Don't forget what I said. I'm doing that, pushing it down, around, pushing it down, around, pushing it down. It looks as if I'm doing that, but I'm not. That's not what you do. And you know if you're using the palette knife correctly, because the front of the palette knife shouldn't have any paint on it, or very little, at least very little anyway. Okay, so let's just continue building this tree up. It was a fun time. I'm going to have to cut the camera short and get to bed. Wife will wonder where I am. She've kicked me out, I expect. Yeah, she switched all the lights off, dog's gone to bed, and the trouble is sometimes when you get the inspiration to paint, I've been known to get up in the middle of the night and just, I gotta do that, I've got to paint. I've come down in the middle of the night and I just painted away. It's funny. I suppose us, being an artist, we paint when the inspiration gets us. I love paintings like this because it's so tactile. Some colour down there as well. Just make this a little bit darker than the background so it'll look as if it's coming forward a bit, and then put a little bit of light on the front. And then like that bit there. That bit there, I don't know. I should be looking at my let me have a look if I get my reference down. That bit there is dark. Can you see that? Oops. What up if I put that bit there? That bit there is dark. See? So we could put that maybe there, couldn't we? if I had a thingy. Anyway, it doesn't matter, we'll hold it there for a minute and I'll just put a couple of leaves down there like that. Trunk is definitely wider, so let's just put a little bit of paint off there, and that's better. That looks a little bit better, doesn't it? Yes. Okay, what we need to do now is dry that off a bit, I think. Not dry it off, sorry, I mean add a few more highlights to that. I don't know what I am, I'm really tired tonight. So let's just, I'm just going to get a bit more of this green mix. And I'm going to add a lot more yellow to it now. I want to brighten it up. I want to try that to see what that looks like. Not enough of a difference. Isn't that surprising? Because it looks quite light on the palette. Right, just check my colours. Let's check my cameras. Camera 1, camera 2, camera 3. It's all working okay. So let's look. Let's look at this colour. It's not far off. So let's just add a little bit of white to it. Just want to sparkle it up a bit. Just try. That's better. Now you can see there's a definite difference there. Following the painting, the reference, and best you can, but don't worry about keeping it 100%. What we tend to do, we tend to copy too much, and really speaking, you don't need to do that, because this type of painting is best viewed from a distance in any case. And this is, if you want to practice with acrylics, this is one of the best things to do actually, is to get this effect. Let's put a bit more white to that mix now. I want to whiten that up. It's going to be my final highlight on this bit. to stop messing, Clive. Need a bit more white. I want to sparkle that up even more. This is your final highlight, so be sparing with this one. This is just going to sparkle. You can maybe put a bit here and there. Or maybe not. Maybe not, Clive. Maybe not. It doesn't matter, we'll get into that in a minute. That's what happens when you mess. I'm going to say thank you, Brandon, because you certainly have given me a challenge this month with greens, and I am getting slightly better with greens. That's a fact. Okay, let's just not waste this now. I'm just going to put this light colour. Only because I don't want to waste it. Okay. That's going to be dry next time I come in to that. Yes. Okay, so what I'm going to do is get a little bit of this kitchen roll. Well, I'm just going to fix that little mistake. That's not a mistake. It was because I was messing. There you go. That's better. What we can do now is let's get I got one of those little palette knives now. I'm just going to go into some Van Dyke brown. Put some Van Dyke brown by there. And I'm just going to touch in some little chunky things. I've got a few branches coming through there. Couple there, like that. Let's put a bit of colour over there like that. How are we looking? I think that's pretty good. There's something on the corner here. I don't know what that is. I think what I'm going to do now, very quickly, I think, is just mix. It's like a red orange, isn't it? Just scrape that down. Oops. Paint all over my floor. I'm getting tired. I'm getting tired. But before I go to bed, wiping down my palette. I'm just going to put this roof in place. So it's quite a red, so let's just get some yellow and a small touch of red. Scribble in white. Quite orange, a bit more red. Now bring in my thickening agent. Just a small amount is all that's required for this. Just a small amount. You can see how that thickens up. That was too much actually. That was too much actually. So I'm just going to thin that down with a little bit of yellow. It needs a really good mix. This extends your paint as well. Needs a bit more red to it. Bit more red. I wouldn't say it was terracotta, but it's not far off. That's pretty close. Okay, I'm going to bed. I'll see you in the morning. Oh, like that. Hello and welcome back. Yes, so long night. And you wouldn't be wondering, what's that thing stuck to the side of your face, Clive? It's a bit of a coat hanger with my mic. Yeah, sellotape that on there, stuck it to my glasses with a bit of Velcro, and I got a hands-free kit which I can detach from my glasses. So I'm going to give that a try. Anything to save money in the studio with Clive? Yes. Fantastic ideas, fantastic products, and fantastic paintings. Okay, so with that aside, let's have a look at what we're going to be doing today. Now, this has dried out really well actually, and with that thickening agent, you can see it's dried out really nice. If we were doing this with oils, then obviously it would take a lot longer for that to dry, but now we can progress with the actual painting. So looking at this picture, yes, looking at this picture, Brandon, looking at my picture, there we go. You can see this is what he's given me, as you know, and we're going to try and I think what I'm going to do is just get this house in as best I can, I think, and that's like an off-white, a creamy off-white. So I'm going to get some titanium white. My palette has got a bit runny. Yes, why? Because I put a lid on it. Where's my bin? There it is. I put a lid on it and it sweated, and normally you should leave a little gap with acrylics to let the air circulate, otherwise your paints can sweat, and if they sweat that's a bit of a problem, but not as far as we're concerned today, because I'm just getting my paint onto my palette. Not as far as we are concerned today, because if you click in the iCards there, you will see, yes, you will see how I've recovered that, and it's a way to save you money as well. It certainly is. Okay, so let's have a look at the palette here. Looking at it, it's got a bit, now it's got a cast to it. Now it looks white, but it's not. It's more of a dirty white. So what I'm going to do is going to get a little bit of this burnt umber. I'm not going to use a lot of that. I'm just going to mix a little bit of burnt umber into there. I just want to make it dirty. Make it dirty. There we go. And it's got a little bit of a green cast to it as well. Looks to me as if somebody's been coming along here and cutting the grass with a strimmer, and all the little bits of grass have flown up and stained all the white panels, because that's what happens. But we're not going to worry about that too much. When we actually come in to do the highlights and the shadows that I want to put onto that building, then we can play around with that. So I've just gone in with a bit of an off-white texture, and again I'm adding some of my thickening agent to that, just a small amount, and this is available at the website www.clive5art.co.uk if you want to pop along and buy some, or just use a very thick impasto paint. Either way, it's going to work really well. Okay, so some points of this video I might cut because I don't want it to overrun in time. Some points of this video I might speed up. Again, I don't want it to overrun. I got a certain length of time I want to do this painting in to show you, and certain points I'm going to have to speed up because of being repetitive. So I'm just mixing this really well. When this thickening agent, you've got to mix it in, and you can see that white has gone a nice off-white. And what I tend to do is scrape my palette knife against the side of my palette like that, and then I'll just wipe that clean with a bit of tissue paper. Where's my bin? There it is. And getting a little bit more kitchen roll or kitchen towel or kitchen paper, whatever you want to call it, into my hand, and I'm just going to pick up a little roll of paint just on the side of my palette knife, and I'm just going to put that in like that, exactly the same way as we did the sky. I'm just finding that edge of the building. And don't worry, it doesn't have to be smooth. Make it nice and rough. That's what we're looking for. Now this is going to be obscured by quite a few trees, or one tree in particular. It's quite a big tree to the left of the composition there. And what I did is I put this particular photograph onto Photoshop, and I asked Brandon if I could cut and crop and paste a couple of things, and so I decided not to add anything to it, but I just decided to find out my composition on that, and I play around with Photoshop quite a lot because I do a lot of photography. As for the people that don't know, I actually had a photography business for a number of years, and I was going around doing weddings and things like that. And I quite like my photography. So all I did was take the photograph into Photoshop, and then I decided then to just cut the composition the way I wanted it to look. So there we are. Very quick way of putting some slats on the building, Jason. Yes, don't paint slats, use your palette knife. So let's have a look at this. I don't want to destroy my windows too much if I can help it. So I'm gonna come. I know there's what can we do with them things? Let's have a look. Let's just come down there like that. Get my palette knife in on the edge there. It's important that I find this line correct. So I'm just going to spend a little bit of time now just concentrating on that line. As I said, don't worry too much about it being perfect, because we've got to put a little bit of shadow and stuff in there at a later point, but we can do that with a brush. And the good thing is about using a palette knife with acrylics is that it dries rapidly, as you know, and we can go in then with brush, and when it's dry, and start doing a bit of detail work. Now if you were doing that with oils, you would find that quite difficult, because you'd have to wait for the palette knife work to finish, to dry. So I'm making a prominent little mark there going down the edge, just so we can see that. And I'm going to that side of the palette knife this time, and I'm going in this side of the window, and I'm pulling across. But I want to make this as smooth as I can. I don't mind if there's a little bit of blue of the ground showing through. That's not a problem. We can live with that, because it just adds to the character of that building, doesn't it? You know, we could leave it like this if we wanted to, or we could put the detail in. I'm going to put the detail in. I'm just going to go down to this line. I want to find this line now, and making sure that's as accurate as I can get it there. Bringing that up a touch like that. And this is the fun. This is what makes palette knife work nice, is the textures you can get in it. And I haven't done a lot of palette knife work, but I do enjoy the textures and that you can get. And just using the palette knife very, very gently just over the surface of that, just to get it smooth. Hardly any pressure on that at all. Hardly any pressure. Not too worried about that edge. We can get a little bit of... Oh, it's not going to scrape off. Okay. There we go. That'll do. We can play around with that in a second anyway, with all the shadows and things. So I'm going to proceed in doing that now. So what I'll do is I'll just speed the camera up from this point, and you can just see me just carrying on applying this paint onto the surface. Okay, so welcome back. Sorry I had to speed that up. And I would just... You might have seen me, I don't know if you've seen me, but I thought, how am I going to get that mistake that I made? I got a bit of paint up on the roof, and I keep forgetting sometimes that I'm using acrylics and not oils, because a lot of the times I've used palette knives, I've used oils, and so just wet a brush, look. Just wet the brush and then just wash that away. And you can't do that with oils because it's all wet. Now the other thing I got to think about is I've got to put the bars in, the cross members. Now I can either go in with my palette knife and just put texture in like this if I wanted to, just to show there's some lines in there like that. Or I was thinking maybe that I can just get a little bit of burnt umber just on the very tip. I'm going to try this. I don't know if this is going to work. I want to do it underneath here because there's going to be a definite shadow line there anyway. So I just want to put that in. I'm not happy with that, but as far as the shadow is concerned, I can live with that. But I don't think I'm going to use that. There you go. Just a little bit of shadow underneath there. So we want to darken that side down as well. Yeah. So what I thought I'd do, is exactly what I thought I could do. Just get a bit more kitchen roll. We can just put these lines in with our palette knife. So let's just make sure this line is. We can either drag it like this. So we got a little bit of blue coming through. Or you can just leave it plain white. It's entirely up to you how you want to do that. I want this edge to show there. There you go. It's just a representation of that line there. Okay, so we're going to look at blocking in these windows now. I'm going to get I got a smaller palette knife here somewhere. Let me see what I got. This is my palette knife pot, and I got a small palette knife here. There you go. It's a bit old rinkety ronkety one, this one, but it should be enough to do what I want. I'm going to pick up a little bit of. Let's have a look at that. It looks very dark. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of black. I'm just going to mix up there. Let's pick up a bit more black. There we are. I want to pick up a bit of blue, so I'm just picking up a bit of this ultramarine blue. I want to make it a blue black, a bit more of a shadowy type of black, and I want to see if that's going to work. Just hope my palette knife is good enough for this. And I want to block that out. Just a bit of black like that. What we could do, actually, looking at that, the way that was going on there, I didn't quite like that. So I'm picking up, if I can find one, a detailing brush. I'm just adding a little bit of moisture to the paint that's on the palette, and let's see if we can't actually pull that in. It'd be better to paint that in rather than use a palette knife on it. There we are. So using a brush now, which is just as good if not better. So there's no reason why you can't use a brush and a palette knife, and this is exactly what I want to show on this particular painting. Is that's what I'm going to be doing, is putting a brush in as well. Just getting a bit of, just picked up one of my other little mediums there. It's called a liquid acrylic liquid clear, and it just helps the paint to flow and move about a touch. So I'm just making sure my head is not in shot. These windows are a bit bigger this side. There you go. That looks a bit better. It looks a bit better. Picking up a bit more of that in my medium. You can use a flow improver, retarder, whatever you want. Whoops. Clive's stick is needed in this instance. Yes, don't put your hand onto a wet painting. It doesn't work. It certainly does not. So just add in a bit of this colour in like that. And what we'll do when we've done all this type of thing, and then we'll actually wait for this painting to dry, and then we can come in and we can do some detailing work with the brush. But for the moment, what we're doing is establishing the shadows within the house. So we've got that little bit of a blue black. We're looking at the door. There's a little skylight across there like that, and then we come in into this window, and this is a fun way to paint. It really is. It really is a fun way to paint. What I'm going to do now is, well, I'm at it. I'm going to pick up a bit of moisture. I'm going to get some more burnt umber onto my brush, and I'm just going to establish these seats, very rough. Seats, and then this is the actual step. And then there's another that comes down like that. You could use a very small palette knife for this, but if I did that, I'm getting a bit of red just to the one side. I'm just mixing my paint that's on my brush into the red paint, because this is brick, and I just want that look of red there, just so it looks like a bit like a brick. And then if it's a bit too light, I'm just going to rub my brush through a little bit of that white paint that we did on the house. I'm just going to lighten that up a touch, and then we can come in there at a later stage and sort that out. Let's get a bit of red now there, and a bit of red there. Let me just get a little bit of white into that. I want to make it different. This is quite a thin paint, but I want to see that warm brick-like colour there. Come back into this burnt umber, bit of black, and just put that in. I'll tell you what, I'm going to go over the old thing, and I want to establish that in there like that. There you go. We'll come and put the figures in that later on. I'm picking up a bit of white now into that colour, because there's a trail there, like that. Okay, so that's our block out established. We can detail that in just a second. Okay, so green. The shutters are green. They like an olivey green, so I'm going to go for the lighter green. I'm going to go for a bit of lighter green. I'm going to go there like that. And it's quite a blue green, so I'm going to add some more ultramarine blue to this. This is one of the pre-mixed colours I used. And a bit more ultramarine blue to it. Ultramarine blue has got a red cast, so it's gonna make this slightly grayer. So because it's got like a red look to it. Ultramarine blue is mixed with a green like this. It's just gonna make it a duller green, in my experience. That's quite dark. Now we want to lighten that up, so I'm just going to add a little bit of white to it. If you've never mixed colours before, have a try, because you never know until you try. Never shy away from doing something new. If you haven't tried it before, then how do you know you don't like it? How do you know you can't do it? And in my experience, I got the greatest respect for anybody that can try something new, and that's pretty much the same colour. In fact, I think it's just a little bit lighter. So get your paper like that and just touch it like that. And is that within acceptable ranges? Yes. Is this going to be an accurate painting? No. So why worry about it? That's my philosophy as far as painting is concerned. Painting is not supposed to be religiously correct, and I don't like painting in that way. So I'm just going to use my finger as a rest, and I'm just going to put a bit of green in like that. Just picking up a small roll of paint on the edge of my palette knife, and I don't want this to look perfect. That is not the aim. That's not my aim, is to have something perfect. I painted a dolphin and some seascapes the other week, and I painted an orca as well, so please check the iCard. Please check the iCard out for that, and that's going to take you along to that painting, and you can see that it's a little bit more accurate. And it's the same with the old dipping bridge that we did for the last challenge. Again, that was a little bit more precise, and I'm trying to get away from that type of thing. I want this to look rough. It's a representation of what I can see at the end of the day, keeping within the boundaries obviously, but when we come to put the shadows and detail into this, it'll look a little bit better, trust me. I hope. I don't know until it's finished. It's not over till the fat lady sings. That's what they say, isn't it? Yes, that's what they say. That's what they said in Independence Day, wasn't it? That film. Yes. Talking about independence today. That comes around every July, and I'm not going to say what month this is or what year this is, but I'm sure I'm going to be doing an Independence Day video, so keep an eye out for that one. That's going to be major fun, I reckon, if I can pull it off. And I'm going to try and do my best to see what I can come up with for that, because I've got a lot of friends in America, so that's just my way of saying thank you for all their wonderful support. It is, yes. So I'm not going to do the detail in these slats or French doors. I don't know what they call these things. some sort of shutters, isn't they? That's right. I don't know if these are decorative ones or these are actually functional. Maybe they are functional because I don't know where in America this painting was taken. So a photograph was taken. Sorry, but in the UK these are mainly decorative. They really are. Okay, so that's looking okay. I'm happy with that so far. What I want to do now is I'm just going to clean down my palette and reset the cameras, and I'll be back now like that. Okay, so I cleaned the palette. I mixed up a little bit of my greens, as you know. I pre-mixed some of my greens there. So I pre-mixed some of my greens, as you can see. And this is a medium value that I mix specifically now for this tree there, so I can play around with that. I don't want too much there. I want to make it darker. That's why I got to be careful I don't use too much of it. I want to make this darker. So again, I'm going to go and do exactly what I did with that tree. I'm just going to pick up a little bit of black, a little bit at a time, a little bit of black, a little bit at a time, and then just mix that in and get it to the stage I want it. Now, looking at the picture, there's not a lot of shadow in this particular tree, but this is going to be slightly darker anyway, so okay, so let's put that on. Let's put that on and see what we look like. Again, just let it, we got a bit down there like that. Spread it about a bit. A little bit of that house can come through. We can let a bit of that house colour come through. There's a bit of a thing going on there. This is going up quite high actually, looking at it. Maybe need a little bit more than I thought, but I'll just put the underlining dark colour in first, like this. What I'm going to do is, the point of this palette knife is a little bit sharp. I don't know if you can see that. So I'm just going to clean that palette knife off. Like that. Let's just wipe that clean. I'm going to switch over to a different palette knife, which is the bullnose one. That's one of those ones. There we are. One of those bullnose ones. And I think I can manipulate that a little bit more. So I'm going to go in and pick up the rest of my green. I'm just going to put that on there. I'll play around with this as I need it, and I can extend the paint and thicken it back up if I wanted to. I'm just going to see what that looks like as it is at the moment. Okay, so we need to lighten that a touch, so I'm going to lighten that with a little bit of yellow. I'm not using white. I want to use yellow to lighten this because it's a lot yellower on that one side. So I'm picking up a little bit of paint. There's not enough colour difference there, so I'm picking up a bit more yellow until I get that colour difference that I'm looking for. That's okay for a minute. So let's just put a bit of that there. You might not see a lot of difference, but don't forget acrylics dry darker, so I want a little bit of a difference, but not a lot. There you go. And that's going to come up there like that. A bit of that house showing through. Now I'm trying to balance this paint in now. There you go. That'll do. That looks okay. That'll do. So we need to mix some more yellow with that now. Picking up a bit of yellow. not enough. So we need a bit more yellow. So I'm going to pick up, always add little bits at a time, because what you're going to find is that if you add too much too quick, you can't go back really. So you can go forward, but you can't go back. So it's always advisable to add little bits at a time. I don't really like this mic on the side of my face here. To think of another way of doing that, I think. That's a bit better. Now I want a bit more texture into this front part here, because I want it to really come forward. I want it to look as if there's a lot of texture in there, so I want to give it that depth by just adding the extra texture to it. And by doing that, you can build this up really nicely and get that feeling of depth by just, I don't know if you can catch that on a camera. I don't know if you can catch what I'm saying, but it's actually quite raised off the side of the canvas. I've adjusted the camera a little bit, so I don't know if you could see that it's quite a way. It's quite a way off the canvas. Now I'm going to take that down even greater, I should say. Take it down even more now with some more yellow. I want to really sparkle that up now, just to put some final highlights on it. There you go, and it's getting right on the tip of my palette knife, and it's not quite enough. Bit more yellow. And dare you put white in this? I don't know. Let me just see what this is going to look like. Now I've added a bit more yellow to this green. Maybe just enough to warrant what I'm trying to get. The effect that I'm trying to build is this lovely depth of colour by using those different things together, different shades of green, I meant to say. My brain is not working very well today. I mixed a little bit of white now. Now I've actually added a little bit of white. And if I'm slurring a little bit today, I do apologise. That's one of the downsides of having a stroke, is sometimes my speech gets impaired. So I'm just adding some little final highlights just to sparkle the tree up to this side there. Like that. And I hope you can see the texture I've created onto this painting. I really do, because that's quite in the foreground now. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm quite happy with that. Oh, so I hope you can see that on the side, and I hope you can see it on one of the main cameras there. That's what I tried to accomplish, was that thick impasto feel, but it's also, by doing that, giving it some depth. Okay, so I'm going to be working on my grass area now. I'm just going to scrape up some of this paint I got on my palette, and I'm just going to add a little bit of texture in there. In fact, let's darken that up a touch. I got a little bit of this green left, and I'm just going to bring in a little bit of colour into this grass. I'm getting the paint, spreading it like that, and I'm picking up a small roll of paint, and basically all I'm doing is just making some texture patterns, and then in a palette knife just caress the canvas, but I'm picking up a couple of little bits of texture by placing the palette knife on and just letting it pick the paint up off there. I'm going to put a little bit more of a depth of colour in there. There you go. And we've already done some underlining colour. I'm picking up a small amount of black onto a bit of that green, just to darken it off. You could use blue or you could use black, it's entirely up to you. Again, picking up smaller roll of paint, just put in a little bit of a darker shade just here and there, like that. Okay, let's do that again. Let's add a little bit of blue there. Let's get some green. I haven't got a lot of green left actually. We can always knock up some more, it doesn't matter. Bit of blue, just to blue that green up. Getting a roll of paint. It's going to be dark in there. Got a bit of this green, lighter green colour, mixing a bit of that with it. Let's not waste any paint today. Picking up a little roll of paint and just placing some colour in. Be loose with it, be loose, you've got to be loose with this. Otherwise it's not going to give you the effect you're looking for. Mix a couple of different colours of green together. Let's get a bit more of that. Let's get that green on there. Let's half that and let's add a bit of blue to it. I'm going to bring a bit of black now. Just pushing that down. Get the palette knife on there. There's some of that underlining colour show through. Okay, so now just get the palette knife flat, and just let it tack it up like that. What a fantastic way of putting some grass in, man. Couple of little light spots that can act as a shadow there, look. There you go. Oh, we looking? That looks pretty good. We got a bit of a light spot there, so we can bring in a little bit of a light. Just through there like that. I don't think there's a tree there in my eye. In my mind's eye, there's not a tree there. There's a tree there, but there's not a tree there. So there's going to be a bit of light coming this way. There you go. A bit of lightness here, there. Just like cleaning the palette knife off on my palette and just tapping that in like that. Looking pretty good, if I do say so myself. We got to think of this. Chimney thing now. I'm going a bit of red. My red's gone quite thin on the palette, and that's a. I'm going to mix a bit of burnt umber, a bit of red together. My palette's sweated. It's not always a good thing. Burnt umber and red, giving me a little bit of a crimson-y colour by the looks of it. It certainly does. Let's just get a little bit of thickener on that. I just want to thicken that up. Yeah, a bit of a nice crimson colour. It's not the colour I wanted really. I'm going to mix a bit of blue. I get a bit of that Prussian blue colour. I think it was Prussian blue on the palette. I can't remember. Brick red I want. A nice brick red. A bit more blue. I'm going into the purple spectrum now. So I'm going to pick up a bit of brown. Brick red. Brick red is a browny red. It's a red on the brown side. So I'm just darkening that red right down with a little bit of burnt umber, some blue, and if you want to see what underlining tone it is, get a little bit of white paint and mix a bit of white paint with it like that, and you can see the undertone of that colour, which is quite a nice red. Just mix that in, don't waste it. Just lighten that colour up a bit, that's all it'll do. There you go. Let's add a little bit more burnt umber to it. Play with the colours. You've got to get... What I want to show you today is the fun that you can have with mixing. It's not just about painting or using a palette knife, it's about mixing as well. And we all make mistakes. And Jason has made plenty of mistakes. Brandon has, and Larry has, and you can't learn by not. You can't learn by not making mistakes. Add a touch of black to that now. As long as I got a dirty red type of colour, a bit more brown, I'm happy. That's near enough there. I want to put a bit more black to it actually. I'm just going to just get a small amount of black to that. And time's getting on, I'm going to have to go and get my wife from work. Wiping my palette knife. Picking up a bit of that. In fact, let's use a different palette knife. Get a bit of that one side, add a bit of white to it. Take your time. I'm rushing this a little bit because I've got to go and get my wife from work, so I'm expecting to make a couple of mistakes by her. Oh, don't worry too much about getting away from work. She can walk. I shouldn't say that really, because she watches my videos and she's going to hit me now. So okay, I'm going to get that brush again, and exactly like I did before, I wetted my brush and I'm just going to lift this out like that. Sharpen that edge up a touch. There you go. There's plenty of ways to cheat with painting. Is it cheating, or is it just using your experience? Who knows? You tell me. Do you cheat when you paint, or you just use years of experience, or months of experience in a lot of cases? I don't know. You tell me. Right, I got one more little thing to do. I'm going to get some of this chimney colour, and I'm just going to put a bit of chimney colour in there like that, and a bit of lighter chimney colour, and I'm going to put a bit of lighter chimney colour in there like that. There you go. And we could use a little bit, I'm running out of time now, use a little bit of this colour. Just there like that. Don't waste it. There's no point wasting colour. If you can use it, use it. I'm mixing a bit more white of it. It's a nice brick colour that is, I like that. This is what happens when you start messing about and you think you haven't got much time, and so you start playing too much and you can ruin things. So we just do that there for now, and I'm just going to call this quits, I think, because we can ruin the work we've already done very, very quickly, especially with a palette knife, because it's not as forgiving as a... Stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. Right, I'm going to go and get my wife from work. Right, I've just come back from picking up the wife from work. Now, I want to put a little bit of detail into this. Believe it or not, this is just bordering on the point of just getting dry. So, I'm hoping to get a bit of detail into this. I'm going to remove my palette. And all they are is a couple of bulldog clips on a little wooden palette like that. And all I'm going to do is remove that like that. Okay, just going to set up my paper and we're done. Okay, now I'm going to make sure I'm not in shot. I've got a couple of detailing brushes there. I got a 0 and I think that's a number 4. There we are, a 0 and a number 4. So basically I'm going to get a little bit of this white that we mixed. This has got a bit of thickening agent in it. I'm going to get a little bit of black to that, make a grey. Using a bit of that medium, you're going to use a bit of water. I should put a bit of water on my palette actually. And I'm just going to go put a little bit of grey in there like that. We can add a little bit lighter this side. There you go. That'll do. And then we got a bit of grey on this one, so we're just gonna just put a little bit of grey in there like that. Let's darken that side up a touch just to give it a little bit of contrast. There, that'll do. Alright, that looks good to me. I'm gonna get some titanium white, plain titanium white. There's haven't been no additive to it, it's just as it is, it comes out of the tube. And he said a tin then, it's not a tin, it doesn't come out of a tin, Clive. It comes out of a tube. This side, it's got to have a little bit of a light mark like that. And now we're going to put a line as close as we can. We're trying to get this as straight as we can down here. Like that. That represents the guttering. A bit of yellow onto that. Now, how have I got yellow into there? I don't know why I got yellow in there actually. Must have had a contaminated white. Doesn't matter. I don't mind. But line down like that. There you go. Putting that there, just mixing together that grey colour now, because I want to put just a very light cast there. So you can just about see that, and I'm going to under that line maybe a little bit darker, just add a little bit more black. I want it quite thin. Just looks like a little bit of shadow. Let's increase this white a bit. I'll do. How's that looking? Looks pretty good. I don't know if you can actually see the detail on that one, but it's there. Now, what I want to do is get my little detailing brush. I'm going into this green, and this is the lighter green, and I want to go around these shutters. Let's add a little bit more white to that green. I want a bit of contrast to it. And just tighten up the shutters. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is get some of my white and creamy colour mixed on a brush, on a detail brush, and I'm just going to go in and I'm just going to go around these windows with a detailing brush now. Very, very quickly, and you've got to take your time with this. This is not going to be easy, so this is quite time consuming. And again, I'm going to have to speed this up, so I'm just going to follow my painting now. Okay, so it's getting there, and I think I've spent a long time on this painting already. So maybe just put a little bit of light there. What I need to do now is get some black on the tip of my brush, and let's just put a block out here for the moment. Now we put another figure there. Put a bit of detail in them in a second when it dries off a touch. So I'm going to get a little bit of that black, mix it in with a bit of that grey. I just want to put a highlight on that post there, and put a bit of highlight on this step. Like that. This makes for a real fun painting then. Bit of brown. That's burnt umber, I should say, not brown, but it is brown, but you know what I mean. Bit of burnt umber just to darken that one edge. I gotta give this chance now to dry before we come in and put the finishing touches on this as regards to shadows and things. So unfortunately I'm gonna have to resume filming tomorrow when this is dry, but it's not looking too bad. What I could do, I suppose, what I could do today, I suppose, is just get a bit of a shadowy colour, and let's just put a little bit of a grey, just dry brushing over the top of that roof with a bit of grey like that, just to give it a little bit of tonal difference. Leave that bright there. There you go, that looks quite nice. And then let's get a bit of black, bit of white, a bit of brown, trying to make a bit of a wash of colour. And I really want to put very, very gentle with this. I want to put a shadow underneath there like that, and a bit of a shadow coming in down there. Just darken that up a touch. Dry brush now. I just wet my brush, and I'm just going to dry that, and I'm just going to very, very lightly now just pull that through. Just to get rid of that sharp edge. In actual fact, I think we might be able to finish this now today. Let's get a bit of shadowing in there. A little bit of moisture We might be able to get this finished today, if I'm very, very careful. Let's get a bit of shadow coming across our grass there. I'm going to put a little bit of shadow. Let's tighten up a little bit of shadow on these trees. There we are. We're getting there. We are getting there. Put a little bit of colour back in there like that. That's not bad, actually. I'm quite impressed. I'm quite impressed. I wasn't expecting to be able to do that. I thought it would have to be dry, so that's pretty good. I'm quite happy with that. Quite happy with that. So I'm going to go back into my little detail brush then, and I'm going to get a little bit of this cream colour. I'm going to add just the smallest amount of red to that, just to pink it up a bit. Smallest amount of red, just to pink that up a bit, just to give it that type of fleshy look. And I'm just going to go in a little bit of flesh there. What I want to do is get some burnt umber, mix a bit of white to it. There you go. Let's just give this person some hair. And we could give this one some hair as well, couldn't we? Maybe that's his wife, I don't know. Let's give this one a bit of red in a painting, always makes a painting, so let's just give him a bit of a red. Shirt. Maybe he's got some writing on his shirt, so let's put some writing. That's going to pull your eye into that. And he's got some jeans on, so let's give him some jeans. There you go. And let's give this one, what should we do? There you go. Let's put a little bit of black. It's his feet. Let's put a bit more light in there. A bit of black, touch a little bit of black in. Just make it look as if it's some sort of a feature there. Let's just give her a yellow top, is it? Let's give her a yellow. Let's have a look what that looks like. Let's just give her some. Let's just put a splash of yellow there like that. So she could have a yellow top on, couldn't she? And she's got jeans on as well, but her jeans are different colour, so let's just put a little bit of blue there like that. And we could get some paint now, and let's put a couple of daisies in the grass. I know there's not daisies in there, but there are in my world. There you go. And I can't have a landscape painting without a little bird. There we are. So I think I could just about say that's finished. So you've got a little bit of palette knife painting. You've also got you've been playing around with the brush detailing work as well. what we could do is just put a little bit of shadow under one of these windows there, and just re-emphasize that line there that's coming down, a bit of shadow under these windows, and just increase a little bit of this white there, like that. I think we've got just about a finished painting. I'm just wetting my brush, just putting that in. Didn't quite like that, but we'll leave that there anyway. And I'm just going to sign that in the bottom right hand corner, and I'm going to call this collaboration completed. I'm really happy, really happy with that. Really enjoyed this challenge, Brandon. Thank you very much. Looking forward to Larry's challenge now. And if you want to check out all those channels, please look in the descriptions below and also in the iCards. So from me and this fantastic painting, which was Palette Knife stroke brush, have a good day, a good week, a good month, a good year, because I don't know exactly when you're going to be watching this, as time is relative on YouTube. So God bless. Until the next one, I will see you then. Nice.